Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to something else. Something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Mantell, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 275 of Something Else. Feast your hair holes on this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling from March the 9th, 1985. My name is Arya, and joining me as always is the Hercules to my Gino. It's Trae. Trae, how the hell are you doing today?
What's happening? I'm feeling a little bit emotional. I finally reached the point in my wrestling queue, and I had a block of time this afternoon. So I just finished watching Wrestle Kingdom 20. So I finally have joined you in the world where Hiroshi Tanahashi is no longer a professional wrestler, and I'm feeling very emotional about it.
I'm sorry. Well, if you like, we could get our time machine and go back in time so that you never watch Wrestle Kingdom 20. Thus, Hiroshi Tanahashi never retires.
Well, then I couldn't move forward, and it's just, you can't
That's
live in the
true.
past. You
Then you'd
can't live in
watch
the
Dynamite.
past.
You'd watch Dynamite. They tell you what happened at Wrestle Kingdom 20 with Okada and Tanahashi. You're like, oh, well, I guess I could have just watched the match now.
Yeah, you
So
can't
what
just.
did you think about all that?
Oh, it was beautiful and perfect, and it's it's just Tanahashi is on a very short list. It's like he's the level of like wrestling genius of like Terry Funk, and it's
Mhm.
uh,
Eh,
just the complete full total package of a wrestling superstar and one of the very tippy top greatest of all time.
And I'm happy that, not only was I able to see him, but because New Japan took off around the world, he was closer towards the end of his peak, but he was still pretty peaking there, when New Japan took off in 2013, 2014. So I'm happy like he's able to be appropriately appreciated, you know, at least by the people who bother to realize that there's more than one wrestling promotion in the world. And if that's your thing, ain't nothing wrong with it. But you can't say, well, so and so can't be any good because they'd be in WWE. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But
So I started watching New Japan at the nadir of Enochiism. So Tanahashi was the young guy. He was the U30 open weight champion, and he was tag team champions with the late Yutaka Yoshi and with Shinsuke Nakamura, and Tanahashi and Nakamura and Shibata were the new Three Musketeers. And I watched him essentially drag New Japan from its lowest point back up to the highest heights that it's been able to reach. So it's he was someone who was really central to my fandom.
the first show I watched was the Wrestle Kingdom with the Gracies on it. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
man, is this what I have to look forward to by being a New Japan fan? Thankfully, that was not an accurate depiction of what I could expect. Um,
Yeah.
so this isn't the only Japanese stuff we wanted to talk about this week before we dive into the show. there was a GIF posted on Twitter by James Vanderbeek. No, not that James Vanderbeek. This is Jaims Vanderbeek. Regal with Muta's arms trapped. And the GIF is exactly what it sounds like. Mr. Regal is in Japan wrestling the Great Muta, and he's got Muta down, and he's hooked the arms, and Muta cannot move. And Regal is using his one free hand to throw punches at Muta's face. Well, keep in mind, I don't know a whole lot about the difference between the Great Muta and Keiji Muto. However, the one thing I'm pretty positive is you can't do that to the Great Muta because what happened to Mr. Regal will happen. And the Great Muta, from flat on his back, blew mist straight up into Mr. Regal's face. And it was tremendous.
Yeah, it's fucking phenomenal spot. Regal is just wailing on Muta in the face. Muta can't, his arms are completely trapped, and then the mist. Amazing 10 out of 10 spot.
No notes. Well, I hope we have some notes for what we're going to talk about tonight, because we have some Mid-South and some World Class from March 9th, 1985. Let's go to the intro Mid-South.
Wait. We do have a note. The reason that we brought that up is because we have never done this. A reason. Well, we've never done this outside of like a thing that we were watching for the podcast, but this was the first thing that I had commanded that I had to nominate for the Something Else Hall of Fame, Hall of Something Else. In particular, that spot where Lord Steven Regal has the Great Muta's arm trapped and is hitting him in the face, and then Muta blows mist in Regal's face. I think I'm going to look up. I think this was during the 1996 G1 Climax tour.
Now, do we want to give a reason why, or just the spot where the Great Muta sprayed mist into Lord Steven Regal's face in New Japan? Will that suffice?
Yeah, just because it was awesome. Yeah, so it was not a part of the G1 Climax tournament, but it was a part of the G1 Climax 1997 tour.
Okay. And that was, by the way, the first person or the first thing we've inducted into Something Else Hall of Something Else since January 6th.
Oh, wow.
Of 2026, just in case there's anybody out there curious. And that's when we inducted New Jack for calling the NAACP a bunch of trained Negroes.
I don't think we overdo it. I think we use the Something Else Hall of Something Else about the right amount.
Yeah. Like, just looking at the list, we've done this almost a year. And for those who might think that we're too negative and we hate on everything, there are at least twice as many entries into the Hall of Something Else than there is into the Hall of This Sucks.
I don't think that we're negative and hate on things.
Well, I mean, if somebody just tuned in and listened to us for the first time and they hear us bitching about something, well, we're being negative about stuff.
I mean, we do say when things suck, and sometimes things do suck, but I think we usually, I at least try to find things to like about things, unless they're just indefensible and worthless.
Like I was saying tomorrow with Cindy, we do not hate watch stuff.
No.
It's like, if I wanted to hate watch stuff, I'd be watching Raw right now instead of recording this show.
Look,
it is what it is.
We watch this because we love the experience of just watching weekly territory wrestling and then discussing it. Even if we don't necessarily love every segment on every show, we enjoy the experience of watching wrestling this way.
I'd say the part that we don't like it is usually the second half of these shows. But let's go to the intro with JR and Joel, Mid-South Wrestling, May 9, 1985. Be good if I would have fast forwarded that.
Welcome to another exciting hour of Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Watts, and I'll be your host for this exciting hour, along with Joel Watts, a young man that has completely revolutionized wrestling videos on television. Joel, this is a tremendous card. Not only are the fans going to see Terry Taylor defend the TV title against Jake the Snake Roberts, They're going to see the Iceman, King Parsons, in action. They'll see the Ugandan giant, 400-pound Kamala here today. The Dirty White Boys will be here as well. Plus that awesome newcomer, the Barbarian, and a very, very special tag team matchup I know you're excited to tell us about.
When you said very special, Jim, you hit the nail right on the head. We got Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Kerry Von Erich together in a tag team against gorgeous Gino Hernandez and Hercules Hernandez. What a matchup that's going to be. I know you're waiting for it just as much as I am, Jim.
It's going to be a great one. What an hour, ladies and gentlemen. If this is the first time you've joined us here on Mid-South Wrestling, you picked the most perfect opportunity to join us. And right now, the television title will be on the line. Let's go to ring announcer Boyd Pierce for the introductions.
What the hell is Joel wearing here?
What was he wearing? I didn't take particular note.
He's wearing a red and white vertical striped shirt and a red tie. It's just one ugly ass outfit. How did Bill let his boy leave the house looking like that day?
I do need to note that you misspoke. It is March 9th, not May 9th.
Oh, I apologize. Did I say May 9th?
You
It
did,
is, in
you
fact,
said-
March 9th.
At least it's not May 19th.
Unless you're Rob Conway. You know, who doesn't like watching Rob Conway get his ass kicked?
Uh,
And I like to think that Kane did not talk to Rob Conway enough, so he didn't know the difference between Rob Conway's voice and Shawn Michaels' voice.
well, why would you?
Yeah. All right. So we got quite the show this week. We have a bunch of people wrestling, and we're bookending it with some matches. We have Terry Taylor versus Jake Roberts for the TV title, along with Jim Duggan and Kerry Von Erich versus the Hernandez brothers.
The Hernandez brothers. Do you think they're brothers?
I can't see why not. You know.
Okay. Now here's the question: are they both? Is Paul Boesch also Hercules Hernandez's father?
Well, I mean, no one's ever, denied that. So yes.
Have you
Bring
had the
back
chance to
bring back one of your favorite arguments?
Have you had the chance to open your copy of I Am Your Champion?
I did. I read about 50 pages of it last week at Silent Book Club.
Yeah.
It's currently sitting in my car for some reason. So I got to take it out of my car, keep reading it.
We got to get on that so we can talk to the author.
Definitely. I Am Your Champion, The Life and Times of Gino Hernandez. Go check it out right now on Amazon.
Indeed.
So we go to the ring for our opening match, which is the television champion Terry Taylor, who is a stooge, a bitch, a degens, and a coward, versus Jake the Snake Roberts. And I got to tell you, I was thinking he was going to lose this week because not only was he wrestling Jake Roberts for once, he's wearing the medal. For like the first time in what feels like 6 months, the fucking TV title medal is on TV this week.
Maybe it was with the tape of the freeze frame music video when they found it this week.
It was sitting on top of each other, or like the ribbon was wrapped around the tape. Oh, God. So JR claims this is the first time that Taylor's been contractually able to wrestle Jake. No, it isn't.
No, it is not.
This is literally how we ended up in this situation. He was supposed to wrestle Jake like 3 weeks ago, and, he punked out by being knocked out during a post-match angle. And we're informed that Jake is going up to this title because he thinks it's the easiest title to win right now. And I figured the Louisiana or the Mississippi title would be easier since they haven't been defended in like 2 years.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing with that. Joel disagreed with Jake's assessment, as did JR, that the TV title was the easiest one to take. And I just really would like to hear, because the only other active titles are the North American title, which is held by Ted DiBiase, and the Mid-South Tag Team title, which is held by the Rock and Roll Express. So who do they think is weaker than Terry Taylor?
in kayfabe, they probably think DiBiase because DiBiase, is a heel, so he always has to cheat to win. So, he's not good enough to win on his own, even though he
DiBiase
won the
wasn't even
title on his own.
DiBiase wasn't even smart enough to cheat the applause contest. He was.
I would, if you were to say realistically, let's say this was a shoot sport, and you had to say who was the easiest right now, I'd say the Rock and Roll Express, just because they keep winning, not by nefarious means, but like they keep holding on by the skin of their teeth here, holding on to those tag titles.
If
Now,
we
obviously, Jake
had,
doesn't have a regular partner, but still.
if we had a Mexican referee who wasn't so damn biased, the Alamo Busters would be the Mid-South Tag Team Champions.
Los Alamo Busters, yes.
Yeah.
So Jake used, to quote JR, a reverse backbreaker to the stomach, or as most of us would call it, a gut buster. Jake missed a falling back elbow, which led to Taylor's comeback, and he won with a 5-arm. I'll be honest, I was a little surprised that he won here. I was honestly expecting Jake to pick up the title or to pick up the medal.
So did I, actually, but I like what they did here. They had a good competitive match, and Taylor was tougher than Jake expected. And then, as subsequent events revealed, Jake was a very sore loser about it.
Yes, well, to be honest, I thought Jake was showing true sportsmanship here because he has some very nice boots, and he thought that he should show the back of Terry's head his very nice boot. Then, they had a long match. It was like 5 minutes. It was a competitive match, so a lot of energy was expelled here.
Close
And
to
so
7
Jake,
minutes.
yeah, what was that?
Close to 7 minutes.
Wow, 7 minutes. And Jake knew that Terry was tired, so Jake graciously got out of the ring and brought a folding chair into the ring. Now, unfortunately for Terry, Grizzly Smith did not teach Jake how to properly use a chair. So Jake placed it on the mat, and then to bring Terry to the chair, he dropped him with a DDT headfirst onto the chair.
I might say that was a rather sensationalized narrative of what happened if Terry Taylor wasn't known to be a stooge, a degen, and a little bitch.
And a coward.
And a coward.
Although I guess since he did wrestle Jake Roberts, can we drop off coward, or is that just kind of a?
We can drop coward. I mean, he won.
Okay.
He won fair and square.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you had the chance to have your opponent wrestle Brad Armstrong and wrestle somebody else, a few times, it might wear them down a bit. But all kidding aside, this is how you continue a feud after someone got pinned. Jake didn't get pinned clean and is going to come out next week and start the feud with Terry Taylor all over again.
Yeah, Jim.
Jim
Cornette.
Well, he's not on the show, so he's not on the show,
right.
so he doesn't know.
If the Midnight had stayed in the territory for another couple of months, we wouldn't have had Dirty White Boy pinning Bruiser Bedlam clean in a singles match before their title feud started.
You think White Boy told them about it since White Boy was on this show?
It had been a long time. He might have forgot.
That's true. It was almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Buddy Landell versus Brad Armstrong. Speaking of Smoky Mountain Wrestling, this will not be the last time Trey and I discuss Buddy Landell versus Brad Armstrong. Just telling you that. Brad keeps giving Budrow a drop toe hold, so Buddy went for one of his own. And Brad, because he's the master of it, managed to avoid it. I popped, and that was it, because Joel was busy talking about Jake Roberts and Terry Taylor and did not pick up on the subtlety of that spot. And by the time he finished, too much time had passed for JR to even mention it, if JR even noticed it. Brad won with a power slam, which I think is a much better finish than our side Russian leg sweep.
Now, was Brad Armstrong the master of the drop toe hold?
No, he was doing them quite a few times here. I say he's pretty darn good at it.
The only specific person who I really associate with that move is Raven.
Because he always did the drop toe hold to the chair.
Yes, exactly.
Except on ECW on TNN last week on the site formerly known as angrymarks.com. He gave Tommy Dreamer a drop toe hold, and Dreamer went face first through the edge of a table.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
This was a very, very good little catch-as-catch-can battle here.
It was a perfect mid-card match.
Yeah.
And it's not to disparage either of them.
Mm-hmm.
I really like this, and you know what? I'm going to really like it when I see it in a year. Less than a year.
Yeah, I bet we both will.
Yeah. Dirty White Boys versus the Alabama Junior Heavyweight Champion Mike Jackson and Private Terry Daniels. Now, Trey, Mike Jackson was at the Impact tapings last Friday, and spoiler alert, for everybody listening to this who I know is watching TNA on Thursday, he does the job to Mr. Elegance. Now, personally, I think Mike is there because he's trying to get himself a WWE developmental deal, or maybe even a WWE ID deal. But I guess we'll see. There are a lot worse.
Wouldn't that be amazing? How old is Mike Jackson?
Like 76, I think.
76-year-old Mike Jackson, WWID prospect.
Ultimately, at the end of the day, what the hell is the point of the WWE ID thing? They have 8 million people under developmental contract. Like, this is basically like, we're signing you, but also not signing you. And it's like also like not even like, and I'm sorry, I'm sure there are some good wrestlers out there that they are signed. The ones I have seen are not exactly, like, oh man, WWE really, really caught on to somebody big here.
The last time that I looked, the WWE ID Championship was held by somebody named Cappuccino Jones. And it's like that sounds like a Taz joke.
I saw
Cappuccino Jones over here.
I think it was a Beyond show. It was the day of Bound for Glory. They did a show. Well, TNA didn't, but there was an indie show that afternoon that I saw that Cappuccino Jones defended the ID title on. And he was all right. But again, it's like I'm watching a show with 15 people, and 14 of them are better than the WWE ID champion. I saw the ID women's. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I don't mean to disparage Cappuccino Jones. I'm sure he's a fine wrestler.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, like, again, he was perfectly fine. Just, everyone else on the show was better than him, I thought. And I saw the ID women's champion, whose name escapes me, and maybe she had a bad day, but she was fucking shit the day I saw her. I'm like, that person is under some sort of affiliation to WWE.
Yeah, their standards have really become something.
Yeah. By the way, last week, you remember, Mike Jackson didn't even tag into the match. This week, he was the only person in the match, and Len pinned him with the Samoan drop.
Yeah, they did not let Private Terry Daniels in at all. They just beat poor Mike Jackson.
That was probably for the best. Iceman King Parsons versus Frank Levert. I wrote during Iceman's entrance, Iceman won with she calls that the rear view. Do we need to say more? Well, turns out Iceman won with a running, diving clothesline. What do I know?
He hasn't done the butt, and you remember the last time he was in Mid-South and Watt tried to call it the romper stomper or something?
Yes, I do. Maybe the rumper stomper or something stupid. Yeah.
Rubber baby buggy bumper. I don't know.
Yeah.
42 seconds.
Do you have anything to say about these last two matches?
It takes a good man to beat Frank Levert, but it doesn't take him long.
Actually, I just remembered that we've seen Frank Levert a few times in the past.
Yeah.
But the graphics guy always put a space between Law and Vert, so I was calling him Frank Law Vert. But hey, they remembered to take that space out. He's Frank Levert.
There we go. At least there's that. At least we got that right.
Yes. All righty. The Hernandez brothers, who are not to be confused with the Menendez brothers, versus Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Kerry Von Erich. Now, after this match, do you think the Hernandezes call up their little brother Sean to make a trios challenge to the Storm family, Lance, James, and Tony?
Uh, are the Von Erich still the 6-man tag team champions? Or all
Who
kinds of
fucking
family feuds
knows?
available?
Wasn't it Chris Adams, Gino Hernandez, and Jake Roberts the last time we
Yeah,
saw
I
it?
think they want him back on like Christmas or
Christmas
New
show.
Year, one of the big shows.
Yeah. By the way, and this just also goes to show you like how well Hernandez, kept his look. This is 1985, and Sean Hernandez is 12 years old. So it's like he was getting a push in TNA as the next young hot star when he was almost 40.
Yeah, yeah.
Keep
I have
that in mind.
also been listening to Jim Cornette read his TNA agent notes.
I haven't listened to any of them past the 2 in June after Slammiversary. I know he did more. I'll have to look at them. I just been busy. Um,
Yeah.
so Gino and Hercules both wore short black trunks and white boots, so it's easy to confuse the two of them. And then Duggan was also dressed the same, so maybe Kerry should be worried about a horseman beatdown, you think?
Nah.
But then we get this finish. So Kerry gets the hot tag. A four-way breaks out. DiBiase ran down. We get a ref bump. DiBiase ran Duggan into the barricade. Hercules got the Shinnomaki on Kerry, but Gino randomly tripped Kerry from the floor. Then remember last week when Duggan was allowed to have his 2x4 again? Well, Duggan pulled out his coal miner's glove and KO'd Herc with it for the win. Then I didn't even see what he did. I guess I should have rewound and looked. But Duggan just got rid of the glove somehow. So when he was checked after the match, he did not have it. So the decision stood.
I think they said or implied that he handed it to a fan.
Yes. But it's like again, I guess I wasn't really looking, but I didn't see any fan with it.
No, neither did I.
He probably tossed it onto the floor. Plus, unless it's a shoot coal miner's glove there, it's dangerous to throw it to a fan because you're going to expose the business.
I don't believe Joel Watts would lie to me. I believe he could be wrong about some shit, but I don't believe he would lie to me.
See, that's what we talked about a few weeks ago. There's a difference between not telling the truth and just lying. Like, I can be wrong, but it doesn't mean I'm lying. There has to be a degree of, intent in order to lie, in my opinion.
Yes.
Any thoughts on this? I mean, this was a fine, fun little tag
This was
match.
very good.
It's nice to
Very
see
good.
Kerry in a match that had a finish.
This is a very good TV main event.
Yeah. And it turns out it wasn't even the main event. I forgot there was more matches after this, but we'll get to those in a second.
Oh.
Okay. So Joel did this a number of times on the show, and it really bugged me in this match. Has he always called the Irish whip an arm whip?
I don't know. Maybe.
Either I never noticed it, or he just got really annoying about it on this episode.
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, we then get a replay of Akbar trying to get Kamala to injure the Iceman last week, leading us to our next match, Kamala versus David Eddy. And he's not to confuse with Mr. Eddy on Abbott Elementary, but maybe he should have been because Mr. Eddy won.
He did.
He won quite quickly.
In under a minute.
Yeah. Of course he won because Kamala gave him a big splash off the top rope. And that, of course, because he's not Mil Mascaras, jumping off the top rope is an automatic disqualification.
He could have tried to do a backflip like Lanny Poffo did.
Yeah, yes, or Lanny Poffo. The two people who've gotten away with that, Mil Mascaras and Lanny Poffo. Good company, I guess.
A moonsault is acceptable. Now, would a shooting star press be acceptable?
I would have to say yes.
How do you think Bill Watts would react to a Phoenix Splash?
I think he would cut the tape, roll it back, and fire Tyler Black.
I think if Phoenix Splash would actually have to be a disqualification because that's a very intentful move.
Yes. Man, we really do need to one day start watching WCW Saturday Night just so we can get to 1992 and the Bill Watts era.
Oh yeah.
By the way, here's the funniest thing about this. So they've been for weeks, they wanted Kamala to give somebody a big splash. And it seemed like they were intent on having it done to Iceman because they wanted to injure him. But they just wanted him to do it to anybody. Anybody's fine. But then, after he did it once, Kamala, because he doesn't know any better, went back to the top rope to do it again. And Akbar and Friday came into the ring and got him to come down because they wanted him to do it once, but not twice. That'd be unsportsmanlike, I guess.
That's just excessive. Twice.
Yeah. You don't want to injure, a rising star like David Eddy.
Yeah, poor David Eddy.
Who I doubt we ever saw before and doubt we'll ever see again.
We have there's the Texas brand of vodka that my wife really likes called Deep Eddy, and I wonder if that's David Eddy's vodka. You think he's Deep Eddy?
I bet he is. I bet he is. I just saw I don't think I shared this with you. I saw a pretty good looking vodka on Facebook today. By the way, while I'm pulling this up, happy birthday to my good friend Aubrey Edwards.
Happy birthday, Aubrey.
Smirnoff Ice Caramel Macchiato Freeze. I'm not a vodka drinker, but that sounds pretty darn good.
That does sound like quite something.
Yes, it sounds like something else. I may have to buy it and try drink of it here on the air.
Can you get them to sponsor the podcast?
There you go. Then we get the Barbarian with General Skandor Akbar versus Tommy Pritchard. Again, I'd like to imagine that General Skandor Akbar walks all the way to the back just to turn around and walk all the way right back out with the ball bearing. Although, again, it is not the ball bearing. No, it is John Nord.
This is not Bob Marion.
So John Nord, a.k.a. the Berserker.
Would you like some making fuck Berserker?
I'm sorry, do I like what?
Would you like some making fuck Berserker? It's a Clerks reference.
I still haven't watched that. Sorry.
Should be.
So do you think the $25 Tommy Pritchard gets for doing TV is helping fund his medical school?
I would think so. That's why he's wrestling. He's gotta do his work to support his passion, his PhD in feminist literature.
I did tweet Tommy Pritchard this week, and I was very disappointed he did not respond. Because I want to know what school he went to that lets you graduate with a degree in desire. Because he was the doctor of desire.
You can have a doctorate in all kinds of bizarre and obtuse subjects.
Apparently. I was unaware of this, but apparently. Maybe one day we'll be famous enough to get one of those honorary doctorates of humane letters, whatever the hell those actually mean.
Maybe I'll finish my dissertation and be allowed to complete my actual doctorate. Wouldn't that be something?
That would. I would cheer you on.
But I knew somebody who had a doctorate in interior design.
Okay, I think I can get a doctorate in pro wrestling history, if that's the case.
I think I want to get the first doctorate in pro wrestling theory. That's what I want to do. From the Ibushi Institute.
Barbarian won with a series of body slams, Was it Ezekiel Jackson who did that in the early 2010s as a finish? You
Yes,
just
I
keep giving
believe
people
so.
body slam. Yeah. It got over for like a week and then he stopped doing it because, why do something that will get you over?
Yeah,
Uh,
can't have that. I liked Ezekiel Jackson.
I, I liked him was the Brian Kendrick. I can't say I disliked him after, but there was still that
Though
grumbling that after Christian had that great run with the ECW title, that they had him win it on the last match on ECW.
that was the most Vince McMahon thing ever.
Yep. But Trey, I got 2 words for you. Freeze
Freeze
frame.
frame.
Freeze frame. I love that they played it and they act like this was like the first time they ever played it too.
Seen this so many
God.
times.
Yes. And it's like, I did watch a little bit of it just to see if they added in new clips or anything. It's like, no, they didn't.
Yeah,
Joel, I love you, but you've done more than one video, Joel. Play one of the other ones. All right. And then you might notice we had like no audio to play on this show. That's because there were no interviews until the very end of the show, where they dragged Kerry Von Erich out to cut a quick promo. Let's go to that now.
A great look at a tremendous superstar, Terry Taylor, in freeze frame, and another great athlete, a tremendous star in all of wrestling. The #1 contender for the NWA World's Heavyweight title, Kerry Von Erich. Kerry, it's great to have you with us here on Mid-South Wrestling.
Well, thank you. First of all, I'm just happy to be here. Today was, just showed the greatest talent in all of professional wrestling here in the Mid-South. When you never know what's going to happen. And like I said, it's the greatest array of talent ever put together, I feel, in the Mid-South area. And I'm just happy to be a part of it. It's just happy to be here.
Kerry, I know that you've got a lot of big matches planned in the near future in the Mid-South area. Whoever the competitors are, we always know that Kerry Von Erich will be ready.
Well, thanks, sir. Not only myself will be ready, but my brother Kevin will be ready, my brother Mike will be ready, and all the Von Erichs are ready to handle the Mid-South people. And like I said, there's a lot of cleaning up needs to be done here in the Mid-South, and I feel I'm one of the men to do it, just like Jim Duggan is, my good friend, and my brother Kevin and Mike, and we're looking forward to coming in here and tearing some of these guys up, coming to the Mid-South area. Its reputation is wild and woolly, and you never know what's going to happen, and that's the kind of place where the Von Erichs like to stick their nose.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I know you're not going to be happy until you're wearing that NWA belt around your waist once again.
Well, that's right. That's the #1 goal in the Von Erich family. When I win the World Heavyweight title, it's not only me, it's all of this country, because they're all behind me. The people from the Mid-South area, the people from WCW, they're all behind me. And, once you've had a taste of the gold, you never forget who made you the world champion and the people that stood behind you when you didn't have it and the people who stood behind you when you did have it. So just God bless all of you. I'm planning on taking that world title one more time, and maybe so in the world class area or in this area right here in Mid-South.
Kerry, thanks very much. Joel Watts, ladies and gentlemen, next week you'll see Hacksaw Jim Duggan and country music star John Anderson, the Rock and Roll Express, gentleman Chris Adams, Cowboy Bill Watts, and Boyle.
All right, so we can just end it there. A nice little faux pas there by Kerry, saying that the people in WCW want him to win it too. Which
you wouldn't know it if you didn't watch World Class, but that was a more lucid Kerry promo.
Yes. Kerry almost cut a decent promo there. We got to give him that. By the way, it's March 9th, so Vince still is doing the TBS show, 6:05, for another month. So I don't think Vince is behind him becoming the NWA champion. Or maybe he is, knowing that Kerry's a little bit of a fuck-up. Although, knowing that WWF roster from 85, like, he can't throw stones, calling other people fuck-ups.
Plenty of fucking up.
Yeah. But that was fuck. Thanks, Kerry. That was Mid-South. And we're gonna have country music star John Anderson next week.
Yay.
Didn't we have somebody like that before, or was it somebody else?
Not that I remember.
Okay. I remember having some country person on this show before, and I thought it was him.
I don't think it was anybody particularly noteworthy, but like John Anderson is actually like Like, I know Johnny Anderson, he had some hits.
Okay. Well, for the trades of the world, next week is the week to check out because we're going to have John Anderson on Mid-South. By the way, Kerry threatened to bring Mike into the territory. At least, I guess at least he didn't say he was going to bring Chris in.
Yeah, at least there's that.
He did claim that Wild and Woolly Wrestling is where the Von Erichs like to stick their nose. That's not what I heard, Kerry. I heard you like to stick your nose somewhere else.
Okay.
Okay, I'm done making fun of Kerry Von Erich. Now for more making fun of Kerry Von Erich, let's go to the intro from World Class Championship Wrestling with Bill Mercer, where he's going to talk about our great main event this week.
Welcome to World Class Championship Wrestling. From the most famous wrestling arena in the world, the Sportatorium here in downtown Dallas, Texas. World Class Championship Wrestling, the major league of professional wrestling, seen round the world. Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Mercer. Great to have you with us, and you're going to have a great time with our main event. It features the modern-day warrior, Kerry Von Erich, taking on the crippler, Rip Oliver. We also have the Midnight Express and the One-Man Gang, and many more of the world's greatest wrestlers. Right now, we'll be back with the One-Man Gang next on World Class Championship Wrestling.
So we're going to have a great time with our main event. Not a great time watching the main event, just a great time with the main event.
Us sitting on the main event, sitting on the couch with the main event, eating some popcorn.
Exactly. Have you tried doing that?
I sure haven't. I didn't even consider that as a possibility.
Yep. Is Rip Oliver still alive? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's world class, so there's a good chance he's not. You know. Basically, if you got to push in world class, you're probably dead by now.
That's terrible.
Stop me when I'm telling lies.
All right, Bobby Fish.
See, I was going CM Punk. Which to some people is just as toxic, but to me, you know.
I like Bobby Fish and CM Punk.
I like CM Punk very much. So we get the graphics telling you what we're going to see this week. And once again, they cannot spell Midnight Express correctly. Now, my best guess is because they write the Midnight Express, there's not enough room where if they actually write it out properly. But then the solution's pretty fucking obvious. Drop off the.
Yeah, that would make sense, wouldn't it?
That's not the last time I'm going to be bitching about the graphics team on this show. One-man gang with Uncle Gary Hart versus Jacko Victory. Don't ask me why. Maybe it's because one-man gang is a very large man, but he grounded Victory with a hammerlock, and for some reason I expected him to do the Visagra to Victory. Even though one-man gang has never done that move, and I doubt anything of the sort has ever occurred in a world-class ring.
I just don't. I don't think that the one-man gang would do anything so inappropriate.
He may have thought about doing certain violent acts to the Rochester Roadblock, but that's another story for another day.
That's a different kind of violence.
Yes. Gang won with a big splash and a fucking slow count by David Manning Von Erich. Bronco Lubitsch counts faster than that. Did you notice that?
Yeah, this match wasn't very long and it wasn't very good.
I mean, Jacko is still very early in his career. Not that Gang is, a renowned ring veteran or anything.
I mean, one-man gang is like he's cool and all. He's a one-man gang, but like he's not fucking Vader or anything exactly.
He's not fucking Vader in more than one way.
Yeah.
So we go to commercial, and these motherfuckers can't spell the word feud correctly. It says the history of the Fantastics and Midnight Express FUED.
FUED.
FUED. Oh,
You
God.
know,
I got some good traction on Twitter with that tweet. I'm not you. You managed to tweet something and get the whole world talking,
I
even though I've
don't.
got like more followers than you do.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why.
Yeah. You are just like someone that easily riles people up.
Hmm.
Any, anyway, we get a history of the Midnight Express versus Fantastic feud, complete with some Mid-South footage, which was nice to see. I liked it.
Yeah, that was
It was the
cool.
contract signing angle from December, November, whenever that was. And at some point, they tell us that it's next week we're going to have the Midnight Express versus the Fantastics for the American Tag Team titles. So that's why we're being reminded of how great this is.
Glad to remember.
Okay. So we then go to our next scheduled match, which are the Tag Team Champions of Midnight Express with Jim Cornette versus Brian Adias and Johnny Mantell. And I want to play Drunk Mark Lawrence's intro, the Midnight Express here, just because this motherfucker is drunk again.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next bout, one fall tag team event, 30-minute time limit. And in front of me, with a white tie, Jim Cornette presents his team. Combined weight of 485 pounds, beautiful Bobby Loverboy Dennis, the Midnight Express.
Okay, did I not hear this right the first time? Maybe I'm fucking drunk. Okay, I don't know what I thought I heard Drunk Mark Lawrence say, but my comments were he's wearing a fucking white tie. Go back a second. What did he say?
With a white tie, Jim.
Okay, I don't know what the hell I thought he said, but I thought he said something else, and I thought he was fucking colorblind.
He said it was a white tie. Why is Cornette not introducing the Midnight Express in World Class like he did in Mid-South?
I think Drunk Mark Lawrence takes his job very seriously.
I wonder what.
Go ahead.
I wonder what Drunk Mark Lawrence and Boyd Pierce would think of each other.
They might be besties for all we know.
Might be.
Yeah. I mean, who knows if they meet at the Sam Houston Coliseum? Because how do they decide who's going to be the ring announcer for that big Houston show?
Yeah, usually the buildings had their ring announcers back then, but yeah.
That's true. I just like to think that, like, they have Boyd Pierce there to announce the Mid-South wrestlers and Drunk Mark Lawrence there to announce the world-class wrestlers.
That would be great.
Like a real invasion type thing here.
Yeah.
So by the way, remember, like, I don't know, 3 months ago when Skip Young was on this show all the time?
I do.
Well, you may not have noticed, but he left and is now coming back, and thus he had to be reintroduced to the crowd. I wonder if the rest of the crowd was like me going, when did he fucking leave?
I can't say that I noticed that he left either.
I mean, once I saw him, I'm like, oh yeah, the pretty young things haven't been here for a while either. Yeah. Also, 2 weeks ago, didn't Brian Adias win a non-title match with Mike Von Erich as his partner against the Midnight Express?
Yes.
Upon further review, not only did they win, but upon further review than that, they never get a title shot, at least against the Midnight Express. Now, to be fair, I did not look close enough to see if they ever got a shot at the titles, but they never get a title shot at the Midnight Express anyway.
I don't think that the booker of the show is very good.
I don't think so either, no matter what Buddy Roberts had to say about him. In the World Class DVD, Buddy Roberts really liked Ken Mantell.
Well, yeah, because Buddy Roberts got a big push there.
That is true. Everyone wore blue in this match. Now, at least Mantell and Eaton wore different styles of blue tights, and Eaton's one-strap singlet that he bought from Jerry Lawler's garage sale was half purple. Which, by the way, according to Bill Mercer, made him a classic English dandy. Which is quite the phrase, and is also, unless you can think of something better, that's the title of this week's show.
Sounds
classic
good.
English dandy. Yes.
Sounds good to me.
This is another one of those famous world class, someone has to eat up minutes on this show matches, and at least the Midnight Express were featured in it. Mercer was so bored. How long was this match, Trey?
17 minutes.
Yeah, it felt every second of 17 minutes. Bill Mercer was so bored that 3 times during this match, he read the address that you can mail letters to your favorite wrestlers if you live in Israel.
Yeah.
I like that these are the WWE Network rips because every single one starts with this has been edited or whatever. And WWE has always done a adequate job of editing out like phone numbers and addresses and stuff. They leave that in there. If you want to send mail to a PO box in Israel to request a world class wrestler to come to your town, you can do that right now.
Should we send something? Who should we tell them we want to see? We want to see Johnny Mantell and Mike Von Erich come to Tel Aviv.
It'll be difficult. It'd be difficult for Mike Von Erich to make the trip. Is Johnny Mantell still alive?
You remember like when WWE went to Saudi Arabia and they were asking for people like Yokozuna, so they found some random fucking sumo wrestler to be in the greatest Royal Rumble.
Yes. And it's funny because like I looked that up, so I'm like, okay, like I don't know who this guy was. He's probably some low-level Japanese indie guy. I looked it up. He had one match in his career, and that was the greatest Royal Rumble. He legitimately was just a sumo wrestler that they brought in to do this one match to appease the Saudi prince.
Yes.
Oh God. I thought I don't know why, but for some reason I thought you were going to mention how, like, especially that first one. Do you remember that first one where they showed a video of like, oh, in Saudi Arabia, women are not allowed to drive.
When they had just been allowed to drive for like the last year.
Like, fuck you. Oh God.
Well, all love and respect to our Saudi listeners.
Yes, if you want to give us
personally,
if you want to give us $20 million to come over and do a podcast from your fine land, we'll be happy to take your money.
I'm not going to Saudi Arabia, and I really don't think you should.
I can't without a gentleman escort.
Well, I don't think I'm gonna. Can we go to that beach that the WWE divas were in bikinis on?
Which one? They did like 1 million of those videos.
I don't know.
Oh God. How about can we hang off the back of buses in New York City in lingerie? Well, I'll be in lingerie. You can be the creep taking pictures of me.
I don't want to do that either.
Okay, great. So eventually, Mantell got the hot tag and a 4-way broke out. Referee Ricky Hazard was distracted, so Cornette thwacked Mantell with his racket, and Eaton got the win in what feels like at least 18 minutes. And apparently that was 1 minute off.
The match wasn't good, and I could list several people who weren't the problem and several who were. But you know what? I guess the people in the Sportatorium who liked Brian Adias and Johnny Mantell liked it, so good.
Yes, they did.
And then,
oh yeah, this is when we got told next week was the Fantastics of the Midnight.
Yes, right after the Midnight Express just barely didn't lose to these two fucking dorks.
They barely didn't lose to Brian Adias for the second time in 3 weeks. They better get at least the same amount of time that this match did.
They better.
Now, this is where you gotta love editing in general, because they came back from commercial to tell us that was next week's main event, and then went back to commercial.
That's awesome.
So main event time. Kerry Von Erich with Sunshine versus Rip the Crippler Oliver with the colorful Jim Cornette. Now, I gotta fucking play some audio here from Sunshine.
Tonight, and I'm gonna stay out here the whole match to make sure Jim Cornette doesn't interfere in this match.
Little words of wisdom.
Now the Von Erichs have volunteered to help me clean up wrestling, but I need someone who can dedicate 100% of their time, and I've found him, and he's gonna be here soon. So watch out, Rip.
Okay, so tell me if you can see what was wrong with, the first half of her statement. She's going to be at ringside to make sure that Jim Cornette doesn't interfere. Did we or did we not just watch a 20-minute match where the finish was Jim Cornette interfering? Where the fuck was Sunshine then?
Yeah, and wasn't Brian Adias the one who was smoozing her a couple of weeks ago?
He was, but apparently he wasn't smoozing her well enough.
Maybe Sunshine just really didn't want to hang out with Johnny Mantell.
There you go. Maybe it's Skip Young. Maybe it's Sweet Brown Sugar.
Maybe.
I mean, at this point, every fucking guy that she has managed in this promotion has left. So if anybody's putting in their notice, maybe now is the time to hook up with Sunshine. Oh Lord!
There you go.
And apparently she's a big problem with Rip, and you better hear that, Rip. Like, Bobby and Stan are also managed by Jim Cornette. Like, is that not good enough?
They're great though.
Yes.
Everybody loves Midnight Express.
So did you notice about a minute into this match, drunk Mark Lawrence randomly made an announcement over the PA? But because Mercer was rudely talking over him, I couldn't make it out.
I didn't notice that. No.
Now it's possible that he had just forgotten to turn his microphone off, and so he was just randomly talking to whoever was next to him. But yeah. Now at one point, I'm pretty sure these fans, obviously big fans of our World Class review, because why wouldn't they be? I'm pretty sure they were chanting, "We want Glub, we want Glub. We want Glub."
Well, who doesn't want Glub?
I know everyone wants Glub. Who do you think is better, Glub or Mike Von Erich? I know we didn't have a lot of time with Glub, but
I don't think Mike Von Erich is that bad.
How about a 3-man team with Mike Von Erich, Glub, and Bryant Anderson?
I hope Bryant Anderson's not that bad.
True. I guess we haven't seen Bryant yet. How about Glub and Eric Watts?
I'm still disappointed that we never got Glub versus Prince Karras.
I'm actually curious, and Jim Cornette's blocked me on Twitter, and apparently you refuse to do anything I ask you to do. You don't want to get blocked either, which, this isn't even a bad thing to be asking it, but I'm sure you'll refuse to do it. Like, knowing that Ole called to bring Bryant into Smoky Mountain, did Bill ever call to try to get Erich to come in?
I don't believe so. I did hear them talk one time about Cornette's little deal with Watts in 92, 93, and Brian Lass said that. He said, eventually he would have asked you to use Erich, and then Cornette said, "Well, I could have got something out of Erich." So I don't know, maybe.
I didn't even mean then. I meant like in '94 when Erich finally left WCW the first time.
I don't think Bill cared by then.
That's true. That's true. By the way, even though they were chanting for Glub, they found one kid showing a claw hand sign, so we're supposed to believe they were actually chanting, "We want the claw." Bronco with
stupid.
Yeah, Bronco with the worst ref bump of this week when he literally walked around Kerry and Rip just so they could crash into him. Like, shouldn't the wrestlers be like putting themselves in position to run into the referee, not the referee having to walk around them to get in a position to be bumped?
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. So Jim Cornette got into the ring for the disqualification. Kerry upset him. What else is new? Anyway, Kerry ran them off.
Yeah. The match was pretty good until, I don't know, just, they bumped the ref just so Cornette could interfere and the ref could catch him anyway, which is dumb, but match was good. Like, Kerry, I finally see it with Kerry. Like, Kerry is finally the great worker that he is supposed to have been. Like, he's figured something out at this point.
Well, being a former NWA champion, I'll do that to you.
Yeah, for 18 days.
Yep. Long enough to engrave his initials on the belt.
Yeah, that's all you need.
I love that. Interesting. So WrestleMania weekend is coming up. You know, you might notice they do that every year, WrestleMania. And you know, there's always all the indie shows around that time period. And one of the big ones every year is the Mark Hitchcock WrestleCon Super Show. And F4W posted that Mark Davis is to take on a former ECW champion. And so in my head, I'm going through the list of former ECW champions who are still alive. And I'm like, oh, God, don't tell me they're trying to book Just Incredible. Because like that's an iffy proposition at best. But nope. Wrestling Mark Davis on April 16th at 3 p.m. Pacific time is none other than Masato Tanaka.
You know, I love Masato Tanaka. I actually, a couple of weeks ago on Twitter, I had a thing of ask me about wrestlers, and I think you asked me about Masato Tanaka, and I posted the picture. That was actually from the WrestleCon Super Show WrestleMania weekend 2014 in New Orleans, which I believe I bought the ticket to that show based on the match that they had, which was Masato Tanaka versus Kevin Steen.
I bet that was a banger.
It was awesome, yeah.
Now I don't know whether or not Masato Tanaka can still go, and I guess that's not really the point of matches like this. But if he can still go even a little bit, I bet that's going to be one hell of a little fight there.
As of a couple of years ago, he could still go. The last time that I saw him was like the House of Torture theme show that New Japan did. That he was in a 6-man tag that wasn't too much of anything, but that might have been just because it was like a 10-minute 6-man tag on a novelty show. But like as of a few years ago, he could still I feel like he and Mark Davis will probably hit each other really hard and it will be very entertaining.
Now, speaking of the WrestleCon Super Show, recently there's been some conjecture on the internet community, and because the Wrestling Observer Worst Work Match of the Year award was voted on, and it was John Cena versus Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania, which I agree with. I do believe that was the worst match because that match actually had the promise to be something. And apparently when they had a match at SummerSlam last year, it was a lot better. So that's all, in my opinion, that's all the proof you need to show that they had the opportunity to do something much better than they did. So, anywho, Brian Alvarez, love him, but he threw a bit of a conniption because, in his opinion, the worst match he's ever seen in his entire life was Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean. And that then got inducted into WrestleCrap this week. And I had to ask, have you ever seen that match?
The Minoru Suzuki Butterbean match?
Yes, with Dan Severn as the referee from last WrestleCon Super Show.
I have not. I really need to watch it. I need to see this for myself.
Now, and I'm sure we talked about it at the time, and I've talked about it a few times. I still contend that if you bought a ticket to that match, or you watched the match on iPay-per-view, or however it is you could watch that match, you knew exactly what you were getting. There was no chance. And I love Minoru Suzuki. And I bought a ticket specifically to see this clusterfuck of a match. There is no chance anybody in their right mind was expecting that match to be anything more than it was. Like, sure, there probably should have been a finish, but outside of that, there was nothing about that match that I went, oh man, I wish they could have done this, that, or that over there. They were holding back.
I understand both arguments, and I don't care enough to participate in the argument.
Okay, great. But yeah, I imagine that Mark Davis versus Masato Tanaka, even if Tanaka is really there in years, and I mean he is, and is really feeling the effects of all that he's done over his career, that match will undoubtedly be a better in-ring match than Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean.
I do believe that. Well, you know what other match that I saw at the 2014 show that was really, really fun for different reasons? Colt Cabana versus Jeff Jarrett.
I bet that was a fun match.
That was very entertaining.
I've been watching a bunch of Ring of Honor I'm up to I forgot if it was called Night of the Racket or Wrath of the Racket or whatever.
Wrath of the Racket.
First show. Yeah, I'm sorry, Wrath of the Racket, you said?
Wrath of the Racket. Great name.
Yes. So it was Jim Cornette's first show, and it was the first show they ever held in Dayton, Ohio. And it was a perfectly good little show. Main event was AJ Styles and Homicide defeating Christopher Daniels and Dan Moff. Now, earlier in the show, Jim Cornette randomly turned heel and joined the Gathering, or not the Gathering. Whatchamacallit? Christopher Daniels' group that I'm currently blanking on, which I'm sure Trey will tell me in like 3 seconds. So he turns the Prophecy. He turns heel and joins the Prophecy, which to me is like, that was fucking random. Like Jim Cornette, the most traditional guy I've ever seen, he's now against honor and against tradition. That makes no sense. And then at the end of the show, it came full circle because those motherfuckers, AJ Styles and Homicide, they beat Christopher Daniels and Dan Moff, and he went over and shook AJ Styles and Homicide's hand. And that was it, because what's the Prophecy's thing in Ring of Honor? They do not shake hands. And Christopher Daniels and Dan Moff and Allison Danger were quite pissed off by this. And Jim Cornette is no longer a member of the Prophecy. It lasted 3 hours.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Him joining didn't make any sense at all. But it's like, at least to get him out of it made sense, but it's more like an angle just to do it than anything else.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah. All right. So I had a hard out by 10:30. It's 10:21, so I beat it by 8 minutes. Let's go ahead and call it a day. We'll be back on Thursday for Smoky Mountain. Cindy and I will be back tomorrow for the second America's X Cup, Mexico versus Canada. And we'll see how that goes. But until then, thank you all for listening. I hope you all enjoyed the show, and we'll talk to you again in 7 days.
Bye.